Hello friends, welcome to our lecture series on financial management. Myself Aditya P. Tripathi. I'm once again here to continue our discussion on the topic of valuation of securities, part 3. In this part 3 of lecture series on the topic of valuation of securities, I'll be telling you about different theorems of bond valuation. In previous 2 lectures of mine, I told you about the very basic concept of valuation of securities. I tried to explain you what are the different types of securities, starting from bond, then equity shares, preference shares and all, and then we talked about how to calculate the value of a particular bond. In today's lecture of mine, I'll be telling you about the bond value theorems. What initial 3 theorems have been discussed. I'll be telling you about the remaining theorems, their concepts and practical problems, and then eventually we'll move on to the topic of valuation of deep discount bonds, which are also known as DDBs. So I'll tell you about how to calculate the value of deep discount bonds, and then we'll talk about the valuation of preference shares. So let's start with the bond value theorems. Let me once again recapitulate what we do into the different bond value theorems. What are the basics of bond value theorems? Basically, they help in analyzing the effect of the different factors which are related to bond values. They are basically trying to establish the relationship between the required rate of return and the coupon rate, number of years to maturity, and yield to maturity, which is also known as YTM, yield to maturity. So my dear students, basically what we try to do into these theorems, before I explain you about the established notion of that theorem and then applying it numerically, let me tell you what exactly we do into this. We are just trying to change different components of our evaluation process. If you look at the different components of a security, what you get expected rate of return, you get yield to maturity, you get cost of capital, you get duration of that particular security. So we'll try to keep one factor changing, another factor remaining constant, and then we'll try to establish a theorem which is helping us or guiding us in calculating the value of a particular bond. So these factors are known to us, that what is the relationship between the required rate of return and coupon rate, number of years to maturity, and yield to maturity. So with that particular understanding of these factors, we can very well identify that if this particular component is changing, what is the change into the value of my bond and what is the rate of change into the value of my bond. This is what is the role of bond value theorems. So with this basic understanding of bond value theorems, we can continue our discussion on different other theorems. So I'll be starting from the point where we left in the previous lecture. These theorems are basically going to show the effect of number of years to maturity on bond value, and we actually in this series of lectures, the number which is assigned to this theorem is theorem number 4. So in this theorem, what we'll do, we'll try to show the effect of number of years to maturity on bond value. What is the impact of number of years to maturity on the value of a particular bond? And this theorem says that when the required rate of return is greater than the coupon rate, the discount on bond declines as maturity approaches. Which means that suppose if you are coming closer to the maturity period, what will happen? Your discount on the bond will decline because the required rate of return is greater than the coupon rate. So this theorem is actually telling you, giving you a conditional inference, conditional statement, that when the required rate of return is greater than the coupon rate, then what will be the outcome? The outcome will be that the discount on the bond declines as maturity approaches. So with this, let's understand it with a numerical example. A coupon bearing bond issued by LK Limited has following features. It says that the par value of bond is rupees 100, coupon rate is 8%. Years to maturity, which is given in the condition of bond, is 3 years, and cost of debt is 10%. Cost of debt is also known as expected rate of return. And you have to show that when the required rate of return is greater than the coupon rate, which is the case here, because cost of debt, that is required rate of return, is 10%, and coupon rate, which is the rate of return on bond, is 8%. So if the required rate of return is greater than the coupon rate, the discount on bond declines along with the approach of maturity. So if you are coming closer to the maturity period, what will happen? The discount on the bond will decline. This is what this particular theorem wanted to establish. So let's try to test whether this theorem holds true or not. This is what we have to do into all theorems. So first I'll be telling about the theorem, then the statement of this particular theorem, what is the the inference line out of this particular theorem, and then we'll try to prove it with the help of a numerical example. So let's solve this particular question of LK Limited, where I'll be calculating value of bond at the end of different years. Since the maturity period of this bond is 3 years, so we shall be computing the value at each level, starting from the 0 period to first, second and third periods, first, second and third years. So we'll be starting from the downside, that is the last line, particular column. At 0 period, the value of my bond remains the same, that is rupees 100. But at the end of the first year, what will happen? I'll be receiving two things. One is the interest component and the other is the principal amount. Interest rate is given 8%, so obviously 8%, that amount I'll be receiving at the end of first year. So I need to actually compute the present value of this particular amount at the end of as on date. Say as on date, what is the value of my 8 rupees, that I'll be calculating. So 10% will be the rate of discounting and time will be 1 year. So I'll be looking at present value factor for annuity table. The reason is this amount I'm going to receive for the entire life of this particular bond. So this 8 rupees is going to be discounted with the help of present value annuity factor table, and again the 100 rupees which I'm going to receive at the time of maturity, that will actually be discounted with the help of present value factor table, because that is going to be a single receipt for us. So 10% and 1 year will be referring to present value factor table. When we combine these two present values, we get to know about the total maturity value of this amount, which comes to be 98 rupees and 17 paisa. But we need to understand what theorem says. Theorem says as you are getting closer to the maturity period, your discounting value is supposed to decline. Your value is supposed to decline. So we'll be testing whether it is declining or not. So initially it was 0. At 0 period it was 100. At the end of 1 year it becomes 98 rupees and 17 paisa. Let's see what happens in the second year. In second year, when we do the calculation, it becomes 96 rupees and 48 paisa, which is lesser than that of first year. So in first year the value was 98 rupees 17 paisa, in second year it becomes 96 rupees and 48 paisa. So while doing the computation, we are getting sure that whatever the statement was given by the theorem, that is holding true. At the end of third year, if I compute the value of my bond, it becomes 94 rupees and 99 paisa. So in this way, my dear students, we have actually proved this particular theorem number 4, that if the rate of return is more than, expected rate of return is more than that particular cost, the value of bond, then obviously you are going to have lesser value, lesser discounting value at the time of maturity, as the maturity approaches. So this is what we have to understand. This is what we were willing to infer from this particular statement. So from these computations, we can conclude that when the required rate of return is greater than the coupon rate, the discount on the bond declines as the maturity approaches. So if you are increasing your time or you are very close to the maturity period, what will happen? The value of your bond is going to decline, because the reason, the very basic reason is the concept of time value of money, which says that if your period is increasing, then obviously the present value, you are very, your distance from the present is actually increasing, and with that increment, what will happen? The value of your particular bond is going to decline. So in this way, we have understood the theorem number 4. Now let's move ahead to theorem number 5. Theorem number 5 says that when the required rate of return is less than the coupon rate, which is opposite to the theorem number 4. There it was more than the coupon rate, here it is less than the coupon rate. The premium on the bond declines as maturity approaches. So premium, which means whatever value addition you are getting, the rate of addition is going to decline along with the approach of maturity period. If you are getting closer to maturity period, your premium on the bond is supposed to decline. So this theorem is actually showing the effect of number of years to maturity on bond values. We have to keep this in mind, what exactly we are doing. Here in this theorem, we are trying to show the effect of number of years to maturity on bond value. That with the passage of time, what exactly is the role of time? With the passage of time, what is the impact on the value of my bond? So let's try to once again apply this particular theorem into a numerical problem. A coupon bearing bond issued by Nopur Limited has the following features. This company is actually giving us a par value of rupees 100. Coupon rate is 8%. Years to maturity is again 3 years. Cost of debt is 7%. So my dear students, we have to mind here that in this particular question of Nopur Limited, what we are finding, the cost of debt is 7% and the coupon rate is 8%, which means that the expected rate of return is less than your coupon rate, because expected rate of return is 7% and coupon rate is 8%. So we have to show that when the required rate of return is less than the coupon rate, the premium on the bond declines as maturity approaches. Why I am giving this line, telling you this line while we are discussing about the question, so that you should recall what exactly the theorem says, and we have to implement it into the numerical problem to understand whether it holds true or not. So let's apply it. Once we'll be calculating the value of it again. Starting from the 0 period, that is the present, the value of bond becomes 100 rupees. At the end of first year, again we'll be computing the present value annuity with the help of present value annuity factor for this particular value of interest, that is 8%, and that will be discounted from PVAF table, whereas the value of the maturity value is going to be discounted with the help of PVF table. So at the end of the first year, what happens? The value becomes 100 rupees and 98 paisa. At the end of second year, it becomes 101 rupees and 76 paisa, and at the end of 3 years, it becomes 102 rupees and 59 paisa. So if you look at the difference, you will find that the premium which you are going to receive out of this particular investment in a bond, along with the approaching to the maturity period, as soon as you are getting closer to the maturity period, your rate of increment into this particular premium is going to decline, and the same is visible here. So we can conclude out of this particular computation that when the required rate of return is less than the coupon rate, what will happen? The premium on the bond declines as maturity approaches. So we have to understand here, my dear students, that when I am saying that as maturity approaches, I am talking about the distance from the investment period to the maturity period. So as you are getting closer to the maturity period, what will happen to the value of your bond? The answer is the value is going to decline. So this is what we were supposed to prove into this particular theorem, where we talked about when the rate of return is less than that of coupon rate. Now next in this particular sequence, the next topic which comes to us is theorem showing the effect of yield to maturity on bond values. Now here the yield to maturity actually plays a very significant role. We have to understand, it is also known as YTM, that what is the impact or effect of yield to maturity or YTM on the value of my bond. This is what we have to understand. So for this we have again a set of theorem which is going to show the effect of yield to maturity on bond values. And here comes the the role of theorem number 6, which says that a bond's price moves inversely proportional to its yield to maturity, which means that it says that it is actually telling us that there is an inverse relationship between the yield to maturity and the price of bond. They are inversely related. If one is increasing, the other is going to decline. If other is declining, the price is going to increase. So they are inversely related. You can say oppositely related to each other. So yield to maturity and bond price, they are inversely related or proportional to its yield to maturity. So let's try to understand it with again a numerical problem. The face value of a bond of Nandi Limited is rupees 1000. The face value is given 1000 rupees. The coupon rate on the bond is 8%, which means the rate of interest, and the maturity period is 4 years. So time is 4 years. Coupon rate on bond is 8% and the price is rupees 1000, and the question is again reporting that the current required rate of return is 10%. What will be the effect on the bond's price if the required rate of return increases to 12%? So you have to understand, my dear student, initially the required rate of return is 10% as on date, and we have to change. What we are doing, we are changing our YTM, that is yield to maturity. So if we are going to change our required rate of return from 10% to 12%, what is going to be the impact? This is what this particular theorem number 6 is going to tell us. So if we have to understand what exactly it tells, we have to actually calculate. So let's calculate it. The value of bond when the required rate of return is 10%, will first be computing the value of bond at initial expected rate of return, which comes to be 80 rupees is actually my the interest, cause the price was 1000 rupees, rate was 8%, it becomes 80 rupees. Now we'll be computing the present value of this particular interest amount which I'll be receiving on annual basis on my bond, 10% for 4 years, and then the maturity value, which is already known to us, it is going to be 1000 rupees. From present value annuity factor table, present value factor table, will be computing the present value of it at 10% for 4 years, and the resultant value becomes rupees 881.96, 881.96. So present value of my bond, which is having a price of 1000 rupees, I'm supposed to understand that the present value of this particular bond is 881.96. Now you must be thinking, what is the role of, why do we calculate the present value of this particular bond? I have already told you, I'm again repeating the same reason or rationale behind computing this. Suppose if you have to buy a bond today, and company is offering you at a given price, and you have to give a decision that should I buy this particular bond at this price or not. So if somebody is asking me to buy this particular bond, I will say at no profit no loss situation, if my expected rate of return is 10%, I should at least I should pay a maximum of rupees 881.96, not more than that, because my required rate of return is 10%. So this 10% required rate of return is actually used for discounting that value which I am going to receive in years to come, in terms of interest as well as in terms of maturity value. So this 881.96 rupees is what? It is indicating that this is supposed to be a maximum price as on date if I am going to invest into this particular bond. So this theorem says that if yield to maturity increases, what will happen? They are inversely related. So the value comes to be 881.96, and if I am going to calculate the value at the increased rate, the value should be lesser than that. So the direction of answer is known to us with the help of this theorem. These theorems are helping us in understanding the direction of my answer, and I can very well check into all numerical calculations. So let's calculate. There is a if there is an increase in the rate of return by 12%, rest of the information remains the same. 80 rupees is going to be my interest. The only change which is going to take place here is the rate of return, expected rate of return, which was earlier 10%, now it has become 12%. And once I calculate the present value of it, the value becomes 878.96, which is less than that of the value at 10%. So we can very well draw the inference with these computations that the bonds price decreases with increase in the yield to maturity. Once we are increasing YTM, yield to maturity, from 10% to 12%, the price declines and it becomes 878.96. So this is what this theorem wanted to say, that they are inversely related. Why they are inversely related? It is very well be explained with the very concept of time value of money. With the passage of time, the value tends to decline. So in this way we have understood what will be the impact of this YTM on my bond value. Now if I talk about theorem number 7, which is telling me about showing the effect of yield to maturity on bond values. Again, yield to maturity I am going to change. For a given difference between yield to maturity and a coupon rate, the longer the term to maturity. Now we have to mind here, my dear students, we are now playing with two factors. Earlier we were talking about YTM only. Now we are talking about the given difference between yield to maturity and the coupon rate, and we are saying that for a given difference between YTM and the coupon rate, the longer the term to maturity, the greater will be the change in price with change in YTM. So this is what we have to understand. Now we are trying to show the impact of change in YTM in relation to the longevity of term to maturity, and we are saying that the greater will be the change in price with the change in YTM. So let's practically apply it. The bonds of X Limited and Y Limited have the following features. These are two companies. If we look at the face value, it remains the same, 1000 rupees and 1000 rupees. Coupon rate is again 8%, that is the same. Maturity period for first, that is X Limited, is 4 years. For Y Limited it is 6 years. Now we have to understand why it is given, because we have to understand the change of time. In first case, the maturity period comes to be 4 years, whereas for Y Limited it is 6 years, and yield to maturity is given 8% and 8%, that remains the same. So we are actually putting all other values at par so that we can understand, we can examine what will be the impact of change into the maturity period if my YTM remains the same. Yield to maturity remains the same here, 8%, and now we are going to understand or examine that what is the role of maturity period in terms of a given yield to maturity, that is 8%. So what will be the effect of the values of bonds of X and Y Limited if the YTM increases to 10%? Now we are saying for the given time at 8% the value is given. If you are going to change it to 10%, what will be the impact and what will be the percentage change? So this is what this theorem wanted to prove, and so we have to calculate it, solve it. We will first be starting when the coupon rate is equal to yield to maturity, that is 8%, and it is known to us from the very beginning. In theorem 1 I told you when the coupon rate is exactly equal to yield to maturity, your face value, your value of bond is supposed to be the par value, and that remains the same, that is 1000 rupees in both the cases. But when YTM increases to 10%, what will happen? We'll have to calculate the present value of it. Similarly, as we have been doing in the previous questions, that is with the help of use of present value annuity factor table and present value factor table, when we calculate, the value becomes 936 rupees and 60 paisa for X Limited. For Y Limited, this value becomes rupees 912 rupees and 40 paisa at the given rate of discount, that is 10%. Now, if we try to examine the percentage change in the bonds price in relation to timing, what happens? In first case, in X Limited, where the life was 4 years, it is 6.3% change, whereas in case of Y Limited, the change is 8.76%. This is what this theorem wanted to tell us or explain to us, that for the same level of yield to maturity, that is 10%, what is happening? Only because of difference in the maturity period, the percentage change or the percentage change in the bonds price is greater in case of a bond which is having greater life, that is 6 years in case of Y Limited. So we can conclude that the effect of increase in YTM, that is yield to maturity, is more than the price of the bond with a longer term to maturity. If your term to maturity is longer, this is going to have the greater impact on the price of the bond. Now, we have another theorem in line which is going to show us the effect of yield to maturity on bond values, which is known as theorem number 8. It says that given the maturity, the change in bonds price will be greater with a decrease in the bonds yield to maturity than the change in bonds price with an equal increase in the bonds yield to maturity. So it says that given the maturity, we have to understand the change in bonds price will be greater with a decrease in the bonds YTM. So if I am going to decrease my yield to maturity on a particular bond, this change is going to be greater, in terms of with a decrease in the bonds YTM as compared to the change in bonds price with an equal increase in the bonds yield to maturity. So let's try to practically apply it so that you can have a more clear understanding about this particular theorem. A coupon bearing bond of Nupes Limited has a par value of rupees 1000 and a coupon rate of 8%. The maturity period of this bond of Nupes Limited is 4 years, and currently the YTM, that is yield to maturity of the bond, is 8%. And you have to analyze the effect of bonds price if YTM increases by 2% and if YTM decreases by 2%. So we are going to change our YTM to the tune of 2% on both the sides. One will be the increment, the other will be the decrease into the YTM. So let's try to calculate the impact of this particular change in terms of YTM on the price of the bond, so that we can once again we can verify whatever the theorem was saying, it holds true or not. So again, we are going to change our YTM by 2%, that is increase by 2% once and then decrease by 2%. When coupon rate is equal to YTM, we are already aware that the value of bond is exactly going to be the face value, that is rupees 1000. But when the YTM increases by 2%, which means earlier the YTM was 10%, now the YTM will be, if I am increasing, it is going to be 12%. Because it was suppose yield to maturity was earlier suppose 10%, now it is going to be increased. So we have to actually calculate from 8% to, I'll be adding 2%, it becomes 10%. Value of the bond becomes 936 rupees and 60 paisa. But when YTM decreases by 2%, the bond's price becomes rupees 1069 rupees and 20 paisa. So percentage change in the price of the bond in case of increment by 2%, it is 6.34%, whereas when we are decreasing our YTM by 2%, the percentage change in the price of the bond comes to be 6.92%. So we can conclude from this computation that the change in the bonds price will be greater with a decrease in the bonds yield to maturity than a change in the bonds price with an equal increase in the bonds yield to maturity. So we have understood, if I am going to decrease the yield to maturity by 2%, I am supposed to have a greater value of my bond in terms of this particular computation or this particular theorem. Now we have another theorem which is known as theorem number 9, which talks about showing the effect of yield to maturity on bond values. And we say that for any given change in yield to maturity, this theorem says for any given change in yield to maturity, the percentage price change in case of bonds of high coupon rate will be smaller than in case of bonds of low coupon rate. So here we are actually having a given YTM and changing the coupon rate, trying to know the impact of changing coupon rate on the price of my bond assuming that other things remain the same. So with this assumption, if we try to show it, let's have a question. The bonds of X and Y Limited have the following features. Face value of both the bonds are the same. The coupon rate is deliberately changed. In case of X Limited, it is 8%. In case of Y Limited, it is 9%. Because we have to examine the impact of change in coupon rate on the bonds value. Maturity period remains the same. Yield to maturity remains the same. So that we can gauge the impact of change in coupon rate on bonds value. So the question is asking us what will be the effect of the values of the bonds of X and Y Limited if YTM increases to 10%. So let's solve it. When the market price at YTM of 8%, yield to maturity of 8%, for X Limited the price becomes 1000, and for Y Limited, if you do the calculation, the price comes to be 1033 rupees and 8 paisa. But when market price at YTM of 10%, when it is increasing, what is happening? The price becomes 936.60, and in case of Y Limited, it becomes 968.30. What is the percentage change in price? In case of X Limited, it was 6.34%. In case of Y Limited, it is 3.17%. So what is the line of inference? What inference do we draw from this calculation? The inference which we draw from this computation is that the percentage price change in case of bonds of high coupon rate will be smaller than in case of bonds of low coupon rate. So change here, if you calculate in terms of percentage, absolute value may be increasing, but if we talk about the rate of change in case of the bond, bonds of high coupon rate, it is going to be smaller than in case of bonds with low coupon rate, if other things remaining the same, just like in this particular question it was the situation. Now the last particular theorem which says that change in YTM affects the bonds with a higher YTM, yield to maturity, than it does does bonds with a lower YTM. The bonds of X and Y Limited are given. Face value remains the same, 1000 rupees, coupon rate 8%, that is the same. Maturity period also is the same in both the cases, both the companies, 4 and 4, but yield to maturity changes from 8% to 10%. In case of X, it is 8%. In case of Y, it is 10%. And the question is asking us to show the effect of the values of the bonds of X Limited and Y Limited if YTM increases by 20%. So if we solve it, what we get at the given YTM, the price becomes 1000 in case of X Limited. For Y Limited, when we do the calculation at 10%, it becomes 936.60. But when YTM increases by 20%, the value becomes, in case of X Limited, 948.84, whereas in case of Y Limited, it becomes 878.96. What is the percentage change? If you calculate the percentage change, in case of X Limited, it is 5.12%, whereas in case of Y Limited, it is 6.15%. So what is the conclusion? What is the inference? That a change in YTM affects the bonds with a higher YTM more than it does in case of lower YTM. So my dear students, in this way we have tried to understand or discuss all the theorems relating to different components of bond valuation, and we have also tried to evaluate, tried to prove whatever theorem says, whether it holds true or not. I hope you must have understood and enjoyed today's lecture of mine. Thank you so much.